Welcome to Bridging Gaps, the business podcast sharing the challenges and stories of fellow business owners.
Hello and welcome to Bridging Gaps, the business podcast. I'm Deborah Levitt, and I have to admit, it's been a long time. A really long time. Years, quite literally. And the reason I'm coming back now is because I've been looking at my episodes and the whole of Bridging Gaps, the business podcast, and I've been going through and I've been finding some of the key messages that my guests shared, that, they brought so much value in just their stories, in their advice, and, really great information. And I've remembered that information is evergreen and that you guys can still gain from hearing it. So I've been going through and I've been pulling out, little snippets so that I can start promoting them again and just, getting the message out there. And I realized as I was doing this that my very last episode is called An Introduction to Season 6. And it tells you what it is that you can expect from the upcoming season. And then, nothing. Crickets. Because I didn't do season 6. I just did the introduction. And as I've been looking at it, I've been thinking, well, I could just delete an introduction to season 6. But even that doesn't feel right. Like, it's not a very elegant way to end a podcast that I really enjoyed and that people put a lot of time into to giving me their time, their knowledge, their stories, and to just kind of leave it having faded away feels wrong. So I thought that instead what I would do is I'd come in and I'd tell you a little bit about what happened and talk about ending your podcast. Because sometimes that's what you need to do. So let's go back in time. Back at the beginning of, 2021, I was ready. I had episodes where the interviews had been recorded. I just needed to edit them and prepare them to put them out there. I had events that were planned that I was using. You'll see some of them on there already, the 1515s where we were talking to people in webinars and giving, help to support people through COVID and just other business ideas. And I was ready to go. But what I realized is that as I was trying to prepare some of those episodes to actually edit the interviews that I'd already done, I didn't seem to be able to do it. It was becoming a huge obstacle. And finally, I acknowledged that I didn't want to do it. And that was hard. But I acknowledged to myself that, what? This just wasn't going to happen. And continuing to put pressure on myself to do it was the wrong thing to do. So I made the decision to stop. And I did. But I didn't tell you. I didn't tell anybody. I just stopped. And I think that was the wrong decision. I don't think the decision to stop was wrong, but the decision to not actually wrap it up was wrong. Just maybe not wrong, but not the best way to do it. So what was happening is that I'd been doing interviews, and I really enjoy interviewing people. I love speaking to people. I love finding out about their life, their business. I love hearing their journeys and the difficulties that they'd been through, or in some cases were still going through, and how they came out of it, and hearing their advice for other business owners. And I really loved getting those messages out there about the whole range of different people and different points that all of our businesses are in, and how difficult having your own business can be, whether you're a solopreneur, whether you've got your a team of people, whatever it is, it can be really hard. So I loved that. But for some reason, as I got to season 6, that love just wasn't there anymore. I was finding it difficult. It felt like hard work. And I think that if it feels like hard work once, you can put that down to, oh, I just didn't click with that person. That interview, for whatever reason, just didn't flow. And sometimes that's the way. But when it's happening several times, and the constant is you, or in this case, me, then it's starting to question, do you want to keep going? Because I really believe that you have to take joy in having your podcast and joy in having the conversations. Now, that doesn't mean that you're happy and cheerful the whole time. You might be talking about something quite difficult, but you're getting that reward for doing the podcast. And I just wasn't anymore. And so, as you know, I stopped. And looking back, what I think I should have done is stopped, but come on and wrapped it up. And really just said to people, here's what's happening. Here's why I'm stopping. May or may not come back. We'll see. And that at least would have made it a nice package, as opposed to people going, oh, she just stopped. She faded away. Pod fade strikes again. And then I started thinking about podcasts and about, the people that I speak to who are starting their own podcast or who are partway through, they've got a podcast that's got however many episodes, and really thinking about the time and the effort that it takes to put a podcast out there. And it doesn't matter. You can have a whole production team, doing all of the editing and the promotion and all of that. But one way or another, it's going to take you time and energy to do the podcast. And you have to want to do the podcast. And you have to know why you're doing it. And not only do you need to know why you're doing it at the beginning, but you need to make sure that those reasons remain true. And if they don't, then you need to revise your purpose and what you're looking to get out of the podcast. So for me, I was no longer actually clear on why I was doing it, because it was just feeling like a hurdle. I didn't feel like I was getting value, and I don't mean money. I mean that satisfaction and feeling of reward of hearing people's stories and sharing their stories. And I didn't really know where I was going. And it was becoming hard work. So what I think is that if you are looking at your podcast and you're starting to find that it's hard work, if you're not feeling that it's delivering on what you need and want from it, then sit back, look at it, assess what your needs are today, not what they were when you started, not what they were 6 months ago. What are your needs today from your podcast? And is there a way for it to continue delivering that? If you're just going to go, oh yeah, no, it still delivers and I just need to keep doing the same thing, that's not going to help you, because your energy and enthusiasm has waned. That's why you're reviewing it. So you need to go, okay, what can I change? Do I change the format? Do I do it once a month instead of once a week? Do I do it, whatever it is? What can you do so that your interest and your enthusiasm and your excitement and all of that comes back? Because without that, you're not doing yourself any favors and you're not doing your listeners any favors. You need to want to do it. You need to find the joy in doing that podcast. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. They can be happy things, sad things, informational, but there's got to be a joy and satisfaction that you get from delivering it. So if you're at a point where you're really questioning your podcast or it is feeling like a burden, sit back, review. Why are you doing it? What does success look like? How are you going to achieve that success? Are your objectives realistic? Do you want to keep doing it? Why are your listeners listening? Are they still benefiting from the content that you're delivering, or do they need something different now? Do you want to keep doing it? Now, this isn't saying, oh, as soon as you hit a plateau or whatever, you should just stop. This is about assessing and reminding yourself that stopping is an acceptable option. And if you're about to start a podcast, make sure you ask those questions at the outset and make a note of them. Put your answers down somewhere so that if you hit this point, you can go back and you can go, oh yeah, that's right. I was doing it because of this. And I no longer need or want that. Or, the place that I was when I started has changed and I now need to go in a slightly different direction. And don't hesitate to make a change. You want to keep it fresh. You want to keep it moving. You want to keep people excited and wanting to listen. There you have it. I stopped because my energy and enthusiasm it was gone for whatever reason. And I couldn't find my way back. It would have been great if I'd gone through that assessment then, as opposed to now. But there you go. I didn't. I am about to start a new podcast. Not ready to give you the details yet, but I am excited about it. And, I'm just excited about it, and I hope you will be too. So this wraps up season 6. A very brief and prolonged season. You never know. I might come back if I have more episodes or more people that I really want to bring value to. But for the moment, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy any podcasting that you're doing. And by the way, if you want to start your own podcast, refresh your podcast, or be a guest on podcasts, do get in touch with me because I'm still working with people on all of those, and in particular working with people who want to be a guest on podcasts and need some assistance, if you like, to find the podcast, to get the introductions, and to be the best guest that they can be. Deborah Levitt, signing out.
You've been listening to Deborah Levitt on Bridging Gaps, the business podcast.